Good morning. I'm not Bob Meissner, and I don't play him on TV. But I'm really glad to be with you this morning on this first Sunday of the season of Christmas. This is a time when only the hardy come out for worship. So I'm delighted to see so many of you worshiping together this morning. And I'm especially glad to be with you on the one-year anniversary of the merger of the two congregations, because I was invited to be with you on this Sunday last year, and it remains one of the most moving experiences I've ever had in worship. My then 9-year-old son was with me, and we sat somewhere in this area here, and we practiced the hymn that we were going to sing with and for the Presbyterians. And then we put on our coats and we went outside, and the bells were tolling and chiming, and the Congregationalists were headed one way, the United Church of Christ was headed one way, and at the corner met the Presbyterians coming this way, and there were tears, and there was a bagpipe in the midst, and there were hugs, and there was this echo of welcome, welcome. And as the bells kept chiming, realized that the Episcopalians, and perhaps another congregation as well, were on the corner clapping as you all went by. And it was the most moving time, and it was freezing cold. So I was delighted when we got back inside and we took our places in the pew, and the two choirs were all robed and ready to go. And if you weren't there, that procession was topped only by the choirs taking off their different colored robes so that they all looked alike. They all had the same style and color of robe on. It was a wonderful, wonderful service. My grandparents on both sides came from England. One set went to Canada, actually both sets went to Canada, and then some came to the States. But we learned that when these grandparents were married, the custom in England at the time was to have the cake that was served at the reception, and then the top tier was a fruit cake. Now, how many of you like fruitcake? Not me. Fruitcake lasts forever, as you know. And so the custom that both sets of grandparents followed was to have this cake topper of fruitcake, and it's frosted with kind of a marzipan type frosting, and perhaps you know that marzipan, like fruitcake, never gets old. And so the cake topper is put in the pantry for the year. And on the one-year anniversary, the family is invited in to share with the couple, the bridal couple, to celebrate their one-year anniversary and to cut the fruitcake, which never goes bad. And so I kind of think we should head downstairs and have fruitcake. But I'm really glad that that's probably not all that's being offered today. But it's important and a joy to be with you on your one-year anniversary, because a lot has changed. A lot has come together. Some problems have been identified that had been anticipated, and some problems that hadn't been anticipated have started to come to the surface. And in the midst of all that change, you have had strong leaders, and you have had the Spirit and the presence of God to guide you. And for that, I'm very, very grateful. But I want to take just a sec and list some of the things that have changed. What has changed here besides the two choirs changing into the same colored robes? I'm going to even look at people and call on them. And I don't know your name, and I can't see you very well, but up in the balcony, what's one thing that has changed? Pastor Mike left. Okay, another change. What's another change? Becky? Your parking spot changed. Didn't make the headlines, but another change. The organist is left, yes. Yes. You had a lot more people? Okay. Oh, well, yes, definitely. Yes. Lots of new friends, excellent. New folks in the pew with you and at coffee hour and doing ministry together. Pastor Beth left. Fred has taken different responsibilities. Pastor Bob came as your bridge pastor. You've called an interim who will start in February. You've looked at changes in your governing structure. You've had search committees put together. What other changes are there?
We have 2 men's breakfasts.
2 men's breakfasts. That's good. One more thing. Yes?
We have
6 bell choirs. You should be made to share with other churches. Lots and lots of changes. The first year of marriage leading up to that sharing of the fruitcake that never goes bad can be hard. More and more couples, as you well know, that I'm asked to officiate at their services, more and more of them are living together. Sometimes for years, sometimes they've already got children together, sometimes they're blending families. But the bottom line is that they're living together. They're not moving from their parents' homes or from their college dorms into their new life together. And they think that that piece of paper is not going to make a difference, but it does make a difference. And your unifying as one congregation does make a difference. You may think that you've known each other as friends and neighbors, but it makes a difference now that you're worshiping together, that you've combined your assets, that you've remembered and recognized your heritage of the PCUSA with the beautiful cross here, and you're together in a new and different way. You're not just neighbors who go home at the end of a good potluck together. Now you're in the kitchen cleaning up afterwards. That first year can be hard because even though you thought you knew what you were getting into, things come up. Problems arise, new challenges appear, things that would have happened regardless of the merger have come to the fore. And like many of our churches, you're facing financial difficulties and questions and staffing issues and how to do things as you go forward. And so I come with the same kind of message that I had with you in August after Pastor Mike had left and a month after Pastor Beth had left. You have what you need. You have the Spirit of God alive and well in this congregation. You have top-notch leaders. You have faith and you have vision. And as we say goodbye to Pastor Bob today, it brings to a conclusion a bridge time between Pastor Mike and the calling of your interim pastor. But it also causes you to look in the mirror as a congregation and to know that you have what you need. And it may cause you to dig deep to find those inner resources. It may cause you to look hard at what you need to do, but you're doing wonderful, excellent ministry in downtown Rockford. You're making a difference in the lives of many. You're transforming people. You're creating disciples. You're making a difference, and God has given you what you need. You're at a place where there is a new normal. The folks who may have been in the pew before are joined by new folks, other folks, visitors. The new normal reminds me of the story that Pastor Mike told on this Sunday last year, when the pastor with whom he was doing his student internship in seminary, when the pastor's wife had a baby, and this young pastor got back in the pulpit a week or two after the baby was born, looked haggard and exhausted, and he said, "I just want things to go back to normal." We all laughed because we know that when there's a new baby, nothing goes back to normal. That is the new normal. And we're living into that new normal for you. We're living into a new way of doing ministry. We're living into a new way of recruiting new disciples for Jesus Christ. We're looking for a way to be about the church. Joseph has the joy of a new son, and what seems to us to happen almost overnight is that Joseph is warned to take Mary and the baby and flee because there are people who want to see the baby dead. There are not the same forces of oppression working against you as a unified congregation at this time, but there are forces that work to tear you apart, not necessarily to build you up. And so it's all the more important that you listen to the words of your leaders, that you heed the instructions that God gives us to work together so that you aren't torn apart, so that you're not losing members because they're upset that the old tablecloths aren't used the way that they had expected. I told you in August, I believe, about the church in our Western Association that merged 50 years ago. 2 congregations merged, and 2 congregations never really came together. For 50 years, they had 2 drawers of silverware, hers and hers. They never had ours. And after 50 years, this ununified congregation died. And they put the 2 drawers of silverware and everything else up for auction. They didn't find a way to become one. The challenge that faces you is to continue to find these ways that make you one, continue to seek out where God is leading you, seek out where God is calling you to serve together, because it is so much easier to become one in the body of Christ when you're working side by side for someone else. My prayer to you as you celebrate this 1-year anniversary, my prayer for you is that you may continue to get to know one another, continue to make new friends, continue to draw in people from the city of Rockford who want to be part of your mission, and that you will continue to work hard and to hope that, like the bumper sticker says, you won't go to church, but you'll be the church. Joseph was told in the second dream to get up and take the child back to Israel, back to the place where the child was born. You are being asked now to also get up from the difficulty, the negotiation, the tough conversations about becoming a new congregation, and be that church, be that congregation. I will pray for your continued coalescing. I will pray for continued potlucks and new friends. I'll pray for movie nights here, for the Bethlehem Inn, for other programs that allow you to be the Church of Jesus Christ. And most of all, I will pray that you listen to those dreams that God gives us, that you hear that still small voice of the Spirit's presence, and that you come together, continue to come together, to celebrate, to eat fruitcake if that's your druthers, and to be the Church of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Kathy gave you the very excellent challenge of continuing to go forth in the journey of a blended family. Now I would like to share a few of the postscripts. I have been listening and talking to people for 5 months, and what I have are a few of their comments in their words and in their style. Now we're going to do a little role play this morning. Whenever I'm over on this side, I'm speaking as a United Church of Christ. But whenever I'm on this side, I'm speaking as a First Presbyterian. And the questions are, what do you feel good about in the merger? Or how do you see things going? The people, they chose us and not others. It was the smart thing to do. Their commitment to downtown ministry. Friendliness. Music. I can now pick and choose my involvement. I am more relaxed. They are hard workers. Originally, we were friendly, but now we are friends. Interesting to gain a different perspective, like singing a different hymnal with different expressions. We don't feel excluded. I feel good about what's happening. They still cooked. There were one or two that were not happy, and they were folk who didn't like change. They didn't like to see things upset from their viewpoint. And I would re-emphasize what Kathy said. Think new. You are a new congregation. Think new and come together as you have been with joy to be the Church of Jesus Christ here in this location on Church Street.